can't believe I'm playing a game with the dice anyway about my career. Number 1. That is a Broadchurch face. Yeah, I mean, it's a good place to start because I look back on Broadchurch really fondly and also realised just what an amazing opportunity it was to be in such a brilliantly conceived and detailed drama, which included so many amazing actors. I do have a specific Broadchurch memory with Vicky McClure being sat on the beach in West Bay. It was a day off, and obviously we're all living and breathing it because it's beautiful. Like the Jurassic Coast was there, and we were watching. I think Jodie was in her red dress running along, finding, her son's dead body, in character. And we were there just sort of catching up, having a coffee and sharing a cigarette, I think. And we realised we were in the back of shot. I think we got scurried along, but if anyone can spot that, that was our first mistake of many. It's just so interesting when you look back now. I mean, I can't believe I'm playing a game with the dice anyway about my career. But when you look back, there are through lines. And one of those people for me is Kelly Hendry, who's been amazing. At the time, I'd finished doing a TV series called Leonardo, which was for CBBC, which was really fun. And it was, I think, Sam, who'd worked on the scripts of Leonardo, who was connected somehow to Chris. I think she'd actually worked with Chris Chibnall before. The 10 years between the two of those projects, there was obviously times where you just sort of feel like you're losing your way or you lose your confidence. And I remember at one particular point auditioning for something with Kelly, and I went in and I was auditioning for it, and I just said I just think I'm really struggling, and she was someone who just said, yeah, I promise you, Johnny, just keep going. It doesn't need to be this job that you get, but just it's about just the work. Keep doing it. But it was in such a generous way that wasn't sort of a platitude. And you look back now and you go, gosh, she is one of the people that has obviously given me incredible opportunities, but also just sort of kept me honed in on the craft, I guess. Time to roll again. God, it's such a heavy ball. Okay, roll number 2, here we go. Here he is. Those mutton chops don't lie. And I look at that and I think about Mark, who was the amazing makeup designer of season 1, and the hair and the sort of artistry and craft of his design. It's hard not to feel completely sort of emotionally connected to talking about it. I actually bizarrely got that from a self-tape. So to all those actors who are, look at a self-tape and you go, it's never going to happen, which of course I thought for this as well. It did. And so that sort of changed that narrative for me and the confidence in self-tapes. But I was on stage and I was doing Company and having an amazing time, knackering time, but with brilliant people, directed by Marion Elliott. I got sent the script for Bridgerton, and I just thought the idea of Shondaland coming in to do a period drama for Netflix, it just felt like it would be an extraordinary moment, sort of like magnesium to a flame creative moment, and it made sense, knowing what Shondaland, what they stand for, really, creating worlds in which everyone can see themselves in. I'd auditioned for The Duke, which was the Reggae Jean Page part, and at the end of it, they were like, I think you might be, you might need to look at Anthony Bridgerton. The Netflix effect is wild. I probably wouldn't be sat here rolling a dice if it wasn't for Anthony Bridgerton. I look forward to, supporting the rest of the family and the stories that go forward, because if there's one thing I know about, beloved worlds, is that you want to see them through, and people invest their love and their time, and it means so much to so many people. So yeah, me and Tony will be together for a while. Trying a new technique here. This is the Winky Prince. Can't say much about Fiyero in Wicked. I cannot wait to see it. It's the craftsmanship, to be in something that is so palpably real, and like the millions of tulips that they planted, the conception of what Munchkinland looks like now, in the world that we live in, and how it can still be a fantasy place that people can go and play and you'd want to dive into. As a fan of huge scale sort of studio musicals, but also films, and the style of leaning away from CGI and rendering, but actually having literal sets to play in, I think about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and what it was to see those sets growing up and to see the scratch and lick wall. The idea of being able to dive into the chocolate with Augustus Gloop. That was my fantasy. Again?
Yeah.
Oh, hey. This is Grahatier, Catboy. And this is a character that I voice in a series. I'm sure many people have heard of Final Fantasy. Yeah, little Catboy and the Crystal Exarch, because he's a sort of very open, adoring, playful companion to the player. And I was a gamer growing up. Again, the work, the brilliant, the writing it's almost like Shakespearean. This is like a line. This is just a line that Grahatier says. We'll travel the lands, cross the seas, and take to the skies upon the eternal wind, and it will be magnificent. I mean, it's amazing. Yeah, I'm aware of how important this character is to so many people. I was so determined to not step away from this character that when I was doing Company, I had to record this in the day for about a week, doing 8 shows a night, and my tongue inflamed. So I think any diehard fans out there, if there's a few sort of hours of playing where I sound a bit lispy, that's because of that, so I apologise. Here he is, it's Tim Laughlin. This is Fellow Travellers. It's a series that chronicles a love story and really queer sort of liberation over 30 years and 4 decades. And it was just fascinating, really, how lucky to experience jobs that actually offer catharsis to who you actually are and your own identity, to be able to go and educate and investigate previous queer experiences. And especially a moment in history, the Lavender Scare, which was under President Eisenhower, where there was an order issued to basically flush out gay people from government under the guise of them being a threat to society or being susceptible to coercion, and linking that with the communist threat. And these moments and pockets of quite sinister oppression have conveniently been sort of left off the menu in curriculums and in common sort of conversation. So it's been amazing to shine a light on that. Actually, that dressing room behind the scenes of Cock I've got a lot to thank for, because it was a similar sort of thing. Just before going on stage, I had a Zoom and we talked about it for an hour with Dan Minahan, who is an amazing director, and then read around the 50s and the experience of queer life in DC. But really, I'd been working towards playing this character for 35 years. The fact that we live in a Western world now where there's, it's arguably the best places to be gay in the world in terms of acceptance. You still grow up in a world feeling that there's something about you that's inherently not right, and things weren't talked about at home or at school through no fault of family. But so there's so much that you can pour into this character, and I think having a gay cast and a predominantly queer creative team as well really allowed something like Fellow Travellers to take flight in a way that I know I would have loved if I hadn't been in it to witness. Ron Nyswaner, this was his singular world that he had conceived, and so the idea of working with that sort of auteur, to be able to dive into someone else's vision, but also to be given enough space and trust to be able to bring your version of it is just joyful. It's funny because the second series of Bridgerton came out whilst I was doing a play, and it was, it's an intense personal experience, as well as, it's ultimately long term, it's really exciting, but I felt a bit sort of shaken in my own life. And someone just said, look, it could be the best thing just to go and dive into something, and it was. And I'm learning what the creative process is and how art can heal. And I think this story has that ability for the viewer as well, because whatever happens now, it just being a gay person, a gay man, whether you're in this industry or not, everything's political, really. And you have all the people who came before you to thank for that, all the gay men and women, and the opportunities that are available now are because of that. And there's something in this story as well that was included, which wasn't in the book, which is the black queer story and the colorism between Marcus and Frankie, played by Jelani Aladdin and Noah J. Ricketts. And I saw that storyline and I was just like, this is going to be brilliant. And obviously now the next thing we want to see is the black queerness front and centre, and I'm going to be so excited to be able to go and support that. We should do Crashing, shouldn't we? Blondes have more fun. This is Crashing with Pheobe Waller-Bridge, and I remember always secretly wanting to peroxide my hair. I think I'd said to Phoebe, I was like, I think I need to peroxide my hair, but also get a perm. Yeah, the only reference I could come up with was Justin Timberlake in the double denim. I think Frosted Tips must have been in the script. And I latterly got a perm for Bridgerton Series 2 anyway. So there we go. Dreams come true. To work with Damien Maloney, Louise Ford, Adrian Scarborough, Juliette, and Amit Shah and Phoebe. We filmed it in 6 weeks, and all I can just say and describe it was like being on the brink of an orgasm and at the brink of hysteria for 6 weeks, which was actually sounds quite tiring, but it was really fun. When you play certain characters, it does affect how you feel in your own life. And playing Sam, I felt absolutely wild. And I had some nights out where I just felt incredibly twinkly. People come and talk about Crashing almost more than anything I've ever done. And it's almost secretly a good litmus. I think if someone loves Crashing, I'm like, good egg. Much like the opening episode of Series 2 of Fleabag, which I think is one of some of the best writing for TV ever written. In the way that she can put characters together around a table in a fixed environment and twist and turn and surprise every step of the way. But I remember filming that, being sat next to Amit and Louise Ford, and just sort of, it was like, I felt like a volcano. It was just suppressing the laughs for a whole day and eating onion bhajis, probably about 92. And I remember putting on my trainers and running home, which was about 7 miles. So yeah, slightly insane, but that was the amount of energy that was like generated in doing something that's that sort of naughty and playful and fucking funny. So yeah, that must be surely one of my faves. And yeah, sometimes I wonder what the characters will be up to now.
Is there a role that you haven't played yet that you would love to try?
I love the idea of playing a real person. So like to follow someone and study a real life person and to see about how you can sculpt a character, and for it to be an important story. I think to find it, there's a sweet spot somewhere. I think also the parents-children dynamic is really interesting. I don't have children myself, but I don't want to wish my life away, but I am quite excited about playing paternal roles maybe. Let's see, who knows? Entertainment, drama, theatre, art is really important. And to be a part of it is just incredibly lucky, but ultimately incredibly joyful. My career has taught me so far is to be okay, to be enthusiastic about saying that, because I think I would have been really embarrassed to say that about 10 years ago. So yeah, that's where I'm at.